BGMC. The biblical truth lives here.
The ancient Hebrew scriptures foretold of the Anointed One, Yeshua HaMashiach. The Messiah Yeshua came to call the people back to the truth of His word and to follow that righteous path. Yeshua then called Jewish men to be His disciples, and after His death and resurrection, those Jewish men told the world about the Jewish Messiah. Now, after 2,000 years, Beth Goyim Messianic congregation has that same calling of those Jewish men, telling all people, both Jew and Gentile, about the proper ancient path, teaching the Route 66 King's Highway from Genesis through to Revelation, and how you need and can get back to the proper roots of the faith and a closer walk with God. Now, let's hear the message.
All right, we're going to do a one-week study, or possibly two, on Halloween.
Vamos a hacer un estudio semanal o posiblemente 2 semanas sobre el Día de las Brujas llamado Halloween.
You know, should we be celebrating Halloween?
Deberíamos de celebrar o observar este día.
There's a lot of churches that celebrate Halloween. They call it a different name, but they celebrate it on the same day.
Hay muchas iglesias que observan este día, lo llaman por un nombre diferente, pero sí lo observan.
So we're going on to slide number 2. Steve-O.
Vamos a la página 2.
Some people call October 31st a harvest festival.
Muchas personas llaman este día, octubre 31, un festival de cosecha.
You know, you see there on the left a cornucopia, the things, the harvest.
Ahora vemos aquí una foto de un llamado cornucopia donde se encuentra abundancia.
You see the young child over there pumpkin picking.
Vemos al niño que tiene calabazas.
And pumpkin pie is excellent.
Y el pie de calabaza es muy bueno.
And then you see the different types of gourds.
Vemos todo tipo de calabaza aquí.
And then you see this dancing scene on the end.
Y luego aquí a la derecha tenemos una foto de personas bailando.
So it's sort of like what we were talking about in this past Shabbat's message.
Es como estábamos hablando de este mensaje del reposo.
You know, we were talking about poop.
Estábamos hablando de excremento.
And you could put poop on a plate and surround it with lettuce and vegetables and things.
Puedes poner excremento en un plato y le puedes poner cosas muy bonitas, adornarlo muy bien.
It's still going to be poop on a plate.
Como quiera, es excremento.
Okay, somebody was trying to call him. All right, going on to slide number 3.
En la página 3.
Some people call it Halloween.
Muchas personas le llaman Halloween.
If Halloween is all about death, then why would a follower of Messiah want to be involved with it?
Si Halloween se trata de la muerte, entonces ¿por qué un seguidor del Mesías quisiera involucrarse con este día?
You know, you drive around our area here.
Uno maneja aquí en la área.
And you see all these decorations.
Y miran todas estas decoraciones.
And what do you see in these decorations?
¿Qué es lo que se mira en estas decoraciones?
You see things like this.
Se miran, ven cosas así como.
I passed this one house. I passed this one house. That was good.
Pasé.
Okay, just 1 second here while we get everybody back on, because you got way too many people. Wow. Whoa. Whoa. All right, there's way too many people you're calling. That is why. You can't do that. If they're not online, that means you don't call them. Okay, just 1 second. There's a seat right there. Right there. Target practice. And he used right guard. All right. You see a lot of these decorations around,
Vemos estas decoraciones a través del área.
and they're not nice decorations.
No son buenas decoraciones.
You know, a lot of people have skeletons all on their front lawn and things of that nature.
Muchos tienen temas de esqueletos y cosas así.
You know, skeletons don't stay together unless there's tendons holding the bones
Los
together.
esqueletos no se quedan juntos al no ser que tengan tendones.
And there you see, I think that was the first Friday the 13th movie here, this one here, the Mask.
Vemos aquí la primera película. I think that's the movie Halloween.
Okay. So there are a lot of churches doing Harvest Festival or their own Halloween.
Así que vemos que muchas iglesias están observando un día de cosecha o un día dedicado a Halloween.
If Halloween is all about death, should we have anything to do with it?
Si este día se trata de muerte, nosotros nos deberíamos de involucrar con algo así.
All right, Tristan, is it not calling anybody?
Like one person is able to pick up, it's like calling one person.
Sign out.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, well, evidently it's not.
I was going to sign out.
1 second for those online. We're having a little technology issue. Once again, I have to try to fix some things here. We're signing back in. Give us a moment, everybody, so that we can get those on Skype. Let's go on to slide number 4.
Okay, vamos a la página 4, por favor.
Oh, here's a hurricane. All right. Is this day a harvest festival found in the Bible?
Es este día de festejo de cosecha encontrado en la Biblia.
You know, October 31st, is this a harvest day found in the Bible?
Este octubre 31 es encontrado en la Biblia.
Okay. Is this a day to celebrate life found in the Bible?
Este día de celebrar la vida se encuentra en la Biblia.
So we got to answer these questions.
Así que tenemos que responder a estas preguntas.
When there are so many people out there
Cuando hay muchas personas fuera
celebrating death,
celebrando la muerte,
we need to be able to answer their questions, answer them well. That's why we're studying.
tenemos que responder las preguntas que tengan y es por eso que tenemos que estudiar.
And as I said earlier, should we be involved with this in any way, shape, or form?
Nos deberíamos de involucrarnos con este día de cualquier tipo de manera.
Well, the one thing that we're going to take a look at is, what does the name Halloween mean?
Pues una de las cosas que vamos a ver, ¿qué significa este Halloween?
So we're going to answer these 6 questions.
Así que vamos a responder a estas 6 preguntas que tenemos aquí.
Because, you know, even though a lot of believers pull their children out of school on this day,
Porque vemos que hay muchos creyentes que sacan a sus hijos fuera de la escuela en este día.
they allow their children to be indoctrinated the rest of the month into this day.
Ellos permiten que sean endoctrinados para celebrar este día.
All right, let's go on to slide number 5.
Okay, vamos a la página 5.
And let's turn to Exodus 23,
Vamos a Éxodo 23.
and we're going to look at verse 16.
Vamos a ver el versículo 16.
Exodus 23, Shemot 23,
Éxodo 23,
verse 16.
versículo 16.
Add Lisa, please. Okay, Exodus 23, verse 16. Next, the festival of harvest, the first fruits of your efforts, sowing in the field, and last, the festival of ingathering at the end of the year, when you gather in from the fields the result of your efforts. When are these?
¿Cuándo se encuentran estos?
What is the festival of the harvest?
¿Qué es este festival de la cosecha?
What do you think there? First chair. What? I'm a little deaf. I went to way too many concerts.
One of the 7 holy days?
Well, since this is in the Torah, I would think it's in one of the 7 holy days.
Bueno, uno pensaría que esto es uno de los séptimos días santos.
Sukkot. Well, the festival of the harvest is Sukkot? Because it looks like there's 2 names here.
El festejo de la cosecha, porque parece que hay 2 nombres aquí.
What? Shabbat? Shazam? I don't know. Let's see. Ariadna. Steve, large?
Yom HaBikurim is the first fruits, and you have Sukkot with the gathering.
So we got Bikurim
Tenemos primeros frutos,
and Sukkot. Are we
tenemos
sure?
tabernáculos.
I wouldn't write that
No,
down
I
just
don't
yet.
read
What about? Let's read verse 16 again.
Vamos a leer el verso 16 otra vez.
Next, the festival of harvest, the first fruits of your efforts, sowing in the field, and the last, the festival of ingathering, at the end of the year when you gather in from the fields the results of your effort. So the festival of ingathering we can pretty much understand, right?
Que la fiesta de la cosecha, the ingathering, the harvest,
Yes.
entendemos esa,
Right, because that's what we'll be celebrating tomorrow.
porque eso es lo que vamos a celebrar mañana,
Okay? That final festival.
el festejo final.
Okay, but let's see this festival of the harvest. Go on to the next
Pero
slide.
vamos a ver este festejo de la cosecha.
Okay, so we have Shavuot
Tenemos Shavuot, que
and
es
Sukkot.
tenemos Shavuot, que es mejor conocido como Pentecosto,
Okay,
y
Shavuot.
Sukkot, mejor conocido como Tabernáculos.
Okay, so we have the festival of the harvest.
Así que tenemos el festejo de la cosecha,
That's the very first. That's the harvesting of your bread. You know, we do the bread offering.
la cosecha del pan, la ofrenda del pan, que es
Particularly, my favorite holiday.
mi día favorito en particular,
Because, you know, what's better than some bread and some butter and some cheese on it?
que no hay nada mejor que pan, una tajada de pan con mantequilla y queso.
The only thing that could be a little bit better than that is that a little ragazzi.
Solamente algo mejor que eso es que tenga ricotta cheese
And then you get pizza.
y luego tenemos la pizza.
This is why we know God is a guy.
Es por eso que sabemos que Dios es un hombre,
It's a festival all about bread.
porque tiene un festejo todo de pan.
That's the kind of God I want to follow.
Ese es el Dios que yo quiero
He
seguir.
likes barbecue and he likes bread.
Le gusta la barbacoa y le gusta el pan.
You know, we don't have this barbecue and vegetable thing. No, beef, give me beef.
No tenemos pan y vegetales.
And then he says, you know, barbecue the fat, you know, get that flame going.
Dice, hagan la barbacoa con esa gordura para que se haga más grande el fuego.
Hey, so the reason we're making such a big point about this
Bueno, la razón que estamos viendo esta escritura aquí
is does Shavuot or Sukkot, do either of these fall on October 31st?
Pentecosto o tabernáculos caen en el día octubre 31.
Okay. Ask Lisa if she wants us to call Hesed. Oh, okay. All right. So when Satan tries to mimic something
Así que cuando Satanás trata de arremedar algo
and he puts it near the holy day,
y lo pone cerca del día santo,
but not on the holy day,
pero no en el día santo,
you must be discerning.
entonces tenemos que discernir eso.
And this is where the church is really not following God's word.
Y aquí vemos que la iglesia no está siguiendo de verasmente la palabra de
Okay?
Dios,
Because they don't follow the biblical holy days.
porque no siguen los días bíblicos.
They make up their own days to do.
Ellos celebran sus propias celebraciones.
Through most of the 1980s, Easter was before Passover.
A través de la década de los 80s, la cuaresma cayó antes que el Pascua.
Okay? I don't know how he rose from the grave before he ate the meal.
No sé cómo él resucitó antes de comer la Pascua.
Okay? I would guess he was going for takeout.
Así que yo pienso que estaba ordenando fuera.
You know, he wanted a Happy Meal or something. Hey, I wrote give me a meal now. I'm happy.
Quería un Happy Meal.
All right, going on to slide number 7.
Que continuando con la página
We
7.
see that no, we should not be doing the pagan holiday of Halloween.
Vemos que no deberíamos de observar este día pagano llamado Halloween.
Go. No, that was Evelyn. Evelyn, make sure you're muted. Yes, we're hearing you. Good thing you're awake and you weren't snoring. All right, on slide number 8, we have October 31st.
Tenemos, okay.
Is this a day to celebrate life found in the Bible?
Octubre 31. Este es el día para celebrar la vida. ¿Es encontrado en la Biblia?
Because, you know, they're doing this harvest festival to celebrate the life that was brought from the earth.
Porque vemos que las iglesias celebran este día de la cosecha para celebrar la vida que fue traída de la tierra.
Now, would the scripture tell us how to celebrate life scripturally?
Ahora, esta escritura nos diría cómo celebrar la vida de
How do we
acuerdo con las
celebrate life
escrituras.
scripturally?
¿Cómo es que celebramos la vida de acuerdo con las escrituras?
Little Stephen?
Following his commandments.
Following his commandments.
Okay, seguir sus mandamientos,
Like eating shrimp rolls from the Chinese food restaurant.
como comer,
Okay.
como comer camarón.
You want some egg foo young? You know, how does a Jewish woman make dinner? She calls for reservations. Okay? So how do we, what do you think? Is Steve right there, Francisco?
Yeah, it falls on it because it says choose today life or death, but celebrating life, I don't, because we know that we have life following His word, but to celebrate life, I'm not really sure.
How do you, okay. All right, Big Steve?
Accepting Yeshua,
By accepting Yeshua?
and accepting him as your favor because you were dead before. Now with him you have salvation, and with that comes Torah. Your life.
Okay, so accepting Yeshua,
Okay, aceptando a Yeshua,
but not just accepting Him, accepting His word.
pero no solamente aceptando a Yeshua, pero también su palabra.
But the church says
Pero la iglesia
we
dice,
only got to follow 2 commandments.
solamente tenemos que seguir 2 mandamientos.
Love God with all your heart
Amar a Dios con todo nuestro
and love your
corazón
neighbor as yourself.
y amar a nuestro prójimo como a sí mismo.
So does that mean I got to share my candy I get at Halloween with my neighbor?
Así que tengo que yo compartir mi dulce con mi prójimo.
I'm not sharing my Butterfinger.
Yo no voy a compartir mis Butterfingers.
Like you say, they don't even do Sabbath, so, I know when you broke it down with Dr. Mark the other day, when he asked you the question, but he said all you have to do is believe. And you said, believe in what? What do you believe in?
Tasty cakes.
What did he do for you? You know what I mean? So it just rose, let's say, consequentially in order. Why do you believe? What did he do for you? He delivered you from sin. So it just believing is more than just saying it. It's understanding what he did and what he saved you from.
Okay? So delivering from sin,
Así que ser liberado del pecado.
but shouldn't I sin more so grace could abound more?
Pero no debería de pecar más para que sea más abundante la gracia.
Shouldn't I be like the biggest sinner so I can get the biggest prize?
No quiero ser el pecador más grande para recibir el regalo más grande.
I said, God forbid.
Pablo dice, Dios no permite eso.
Francisco?
To celebrate life through Passover.
Celebrate life through Passover?
¿Qué? ¿Celebrar la vida en la Pascua?
How would I do that?
¿Cómo haría eso?
Because the spirit of death passed over the houses in Egypt, and if they didn't put that blood on the door, they were going to be dead. So their life was basically they celebrated their life because if it wasn't for the blood, they would have been dead.
Well, they celebrated the life that next day because death had passed over.
Celebraron la vida después, el día después, porque la muerte pasó sobre ellos. En la
Then hurricane.
¿Eh?
Hurricane pregnant.
I think you would celebrate life by following Torah because Yeshua said, you know, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and it said that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So if you live God's Word, you're celebrating life because Yeshua is the Word. He's the Word come to life.
I'll paraphrase.
Yeshua dijo que yo soy la verdad, la vida, la verdad y el camino.
El Camino, yeah, that
El
car.
camino. I think I kind of twisted the words around there, but it's.
Well, how do you celebrate Yeshua?
Seguimos el Torah.
How do you celebrate?
¿Cómo seguimos a Yeshua?
Hurricane?
I think we celebrate him on every Shabbat every year and on every holy day. Because every holy day and every Shabbat, there's a meaning behind it. And I think that every time we're here on those special days, we have life, more life in him.
By celebrating the Shabbat and the holy days, you have life.
Así que celebramos el reposo y los días santos tenemos la vida.
Okay, these have all been very good answers.
All right. In Deuteronomy 30, Moshe said that I will set before you this day life and death. Deuteronomy 30, verse 19.
You mean that one?
Deuteronomy 39, I set before you today life and death. Take therefore.
I went to 32
Oh, you're 30.
because it had actually life. All right, let's see how Yeshua said it first, John 3, but you are correct.
Vamos a las palabras de Yeshua.
Rabbi, I have a question
Surely.
for you.
I just, you know how you said, the Christian says, what you, if you are, you know, love your brother, love yourself like you love your brother like you love yourself.
That way you hand him a beer?
No, but Jesus, Yeshua did say, because I just read it in the Bible, and this is Jesus' why. It said that you are my brother only if you do what I say. So you were right one day when you said that you can't consider everybody your brother. And Christians would argue with you and say, no, that's what it means. But you're right, because Yeshua did say, you are my brother only if you do what I say. If you don't do what I say, I can't consider you my brother.
Well, I agree with you. The key was when he was sitting at Kephas' house, at Peter's house. The key is when he was sitting at Kephas' house.
La clave es cuando él estaba sentado en la casa de Kefa.
And they said his mother and his brothers and sisters were outside.
Cuando le dijeron a Yeshua que su madre y sus hermanos y hermanas estaban fuera.
And Yeshua said, who are my mother and my brother?
Y él dice, ¿quién es mi madre y quiénes son mis hermanos?
Those are the ones that are sitting here with me.
Aquellos que están sentados conmigo.
You know, remember, Satan believed, listen closely everybody, Margarita,
Por favor, escuchen.
escuchar. I'm going to split you kids up. Okay? Remember, Satan believes in Yeshua.
Acuérdense que Satanás cree en Yeshua.
He lived at his house.
Él vivió en su casa.
He just doesn't want to follow him.
Nomás no lo quiere seguir.
So who are my mother and my brother and my sister?
Así que ¿quiénes son mis hermanos, hermanas y mi madre? Aquellos que siguen.
Let's go back to the question. Maybe that's a good question. We'll ask that way. Is it possible that if we count Sukkah by sighting the moon, is it possible that the 8th day of Sukkah could fall on October 31st? If you have to wait till the moon to be sighted and count.
No, it would never be that late.
Never be that way.
Never be that late.
Nunca sería así de tarde, en octubre 31.
Usually, the latest it falls is this week.
Lo más tarde que va a caer va a ser como esta
I
semana.
think I've seen it up to like the 18th or 19th.
Lo he visto como el 18 o el 19.
But I have a program. I had a program you could download. It's called Kulak,
Okay.
and you can go back all the way to the year 1 and see when the days are. Okay. Why is Hurricane Stanley calling? Tristan?
That must be Diane. Why is he pulling me on my screen? Oh, he's using my laptop probably.
Okay.
Okay.
One second.
Yeah, but I think that's why the pagan months or the secular months are named like that. September, the 7th month, October 8th. Yeah. October 31st would be pretty late. What? Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's turn to John 3. And let me...
Okay, vamos al Evangelio de Juan.
Okay. Let me get back to this. Because I got a child.
Evangelio de Juan.
John 3, please, verse 3 through 7.
Capítulo 3, versículos 3 al 7.
John 3, 3 through 7. Let's see how we celebrate life. Sorry for the PowerPoint being smaller. I don't know where my technology person went to. John 3, Yochanan, Juan capítulo 3, versículo 3 al 7. John 3, verse 3 through 7. Connie, could you please go back there until, or I don't know where my son went. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to let him go meet Yeshua.
Oh, he went in the car.
I don't need that during my study.
He's back.
I'm going to have you meet Yeshua very soon. John 3, 3 through 7. Yes, indeed, Yeshua answered him, I tell you that unless a person is born again from above, he cannot see the kingdom of God. Nicodemus said to him, how can a grown man be born? Can he go back into his mother's womb and be born a second time? Yeshua answered, yes, indeed, I tell you that unless a person is born from water and the Spirit, he cannot enter the kingdom of God. What is born from flesh is flesh, and what is born from spirit is spirit. Stop being amazed at my telling you that you must be born again from above. So how do we celebrate life?
¿Cómo es que celebramos la vida?
First and foremost is being born again.
Primeramente es ser nacido de nuevo.
And what does being born again?
¿Y qué significa ser nacido de nuevo?
We're on page number 9, Lisa. You have to be born from the water.
Tenemos que ser nacidos del agua.
Like right now, around Hurricane Sandy's little Aaron, there's a whole bunch of water.
Okay. En el bebé que tiene en el vientre,
Protecting the baby.
Está rodeado de agua.
And then right before you're born,
y antes de nacer,
you don't want to be down there if the water has not broken and the woman's about to have a contraction.
Si se quiebra el agua.
It's a lot of water. Okay? A lot of water comes out, about approximately 8 gallons, I think.
What?
Huh?
I don't remember the number of it, but it's a lot of water.
It was a lot of, a couple of gallons worth of water.
Es mucha agua.
Rabbi?
Yes.
Does that also go together with John's vision when they told him, you baptize in water? He said, but the next one that comes is going to be baptized with water and the Holy Spirit. And John was able to see when the dove landed on Yeshua. And that was a sign that the Spirit was with the one to come.
Well, John had to come first. Elijah had to come first.
Juan el Bautista tuvo que venir primero. Juan el Bautista o Elijah, Elías.
There had to been somebody preceding Yeshua to announce his coming.
Tenía que haber alguien precediendo a Yeshua para anunciar su venida.
Okay? And Yochanan was used to be that vessel.
Y Juan el Bautista fue usado como ese vaso.
Okay? And he did prophesy that that Yeshua would baptize in water and in spirit.
Y él profetizó que Yeshua iba a bautizar en agua y en espíritu.
But being born again means you're celebrating life.
Pero ser nacido de nuevo es celebrar la vida.
Because if you're not born again,
Porque si no eres nacido de nuevo,
then enjoy Halloween.
entonces disfruta Halloween.
Because we're all going to die,
Porque nosotros vamos a morir.
but your soul's going to go back to God.
Pero el alma va a regresar a Dios.
And when that soul goes back to
Y
God,
cuando esa alma regrese a
if
Dios,
you are not celebrating the life,
si no está celebrando la vida,
then that soul is going to go down to Sheol and hell.
entonces esa alma va a descender al infierno.
Shalom, this is Messianic Rabbi Andrew Dinnerman. I would personally like to thank you for tuning in to the Remnant's Call each and every week. You can listen to the full message on our website, bethgoyim.org. If you have drawn closer to the King of Kings, learned more about Him today, we are blessed. If you are blessed by these messages, please consider a donation to our ministry. You can go to our website, bethgoyim.org. That's BETHGOYIM.org, and click on the donate button. You do not have to have a PayPal account to donate. All you need is a debit card. Once again, thank you very much for listening to The Remnant's Call.
So how do we celebrate life?
Así que, ¿cómo celebramos la vida?
Your very first step is being born again.
El primer paso es ser nacido de nuevo.
That's what B4 did the other day.
Y eso es lo que Benjamín hizo la semana pasada,
When he gave his life to the Lord.
cuando él dio la vida al Señor.
He had to make a choice.
Él tuvo que elegir,
And everybody has to make their own
y
choice.
todos nosotros tenemos que elegir.
Going on to slide number 10,
¿Qué? Viendo la página 10,
Deuteronomy 32,
Deuteronomio 32,
verse 45 to 47.
versículos 45 al 47.
And here we'll get a little deeper in how do we as followers celebrate life.
Aquí veremos cómo nosotros, como creyentes, celebramos la vida.
Elijah. He's clueless. Deuteronomy 32, verse 45 to 47. When he had finished speaking all these words to all Israel, he said to them, "Take to heart all the words of my testimony against you today, so that you can use them in charging your children to be careful to obey all the words of this Torah. For this is not a trivial matter for you. On the contrary, it is your life." Tu vida. Okay? It is your life. If we look closer at verse 46, the end.
Si vemos más cerca el versículo 46.
Be careful to obey all the words of this Torah. Just that part.
A fin de que cuiden de cumplir todas estas palabras de esta ley.
Okay, being careful means what?
Ser cuidadoso significa que.
Somebody says that you don't have to follow the Torah anymore.
Si alguien te dice que no tienes que seguir el Torah ya.
You say, "Thank you, but I'm driving."
Gracias, pero yo estoy manejando.
Right, we're not going to drink and drive. We're going to drive sober.
No vamos a conducir mientras estemos ebrios.
With one headlight.
Con un fósforo.
Okay, so you got to be careful.
Así que tienen que ser cuidadosos.
When somebody wants to call a harvest festival at a different time,
cuando alguien quiere llamar un día de cosecha en un tiempo diferente,
you say, "No, I'm not being part of that."
No, gracias, yo no voy a tomar parte de eso.
Because there's 7 days that we call holy days.
Porque hay 7 días que llamamos santos.
And this even goes for some of the made-up Jewish holidays.
Y también esto aplica a muchos días que celebran judíos que no son parte del Torah.
You know, they have the festival of trees.
Ellos tienen un festejo de árboles, por ejemplo.
Yes, they have a festival of trees.
Tienen un festejo de árboles.
And you say, "I don't think so. I'm not being part of that one."
Y tú dices, no, gracias. They
even have a festival actually for this the day that the temple was destroyed twice.
También tienen un festejo para celebrar la destrucción de los dos templos que pasaron en el mismo día,
I know
llamado
Dr. Mark's got a question.
Tisha B'Av.
Uh-huh.
I work a lot of Jewish people, as you know. I mean, why
Jewish doctors can't be.
Can you imagine that? Why is it that they always say, even the Messianic, I mean, some Messianic ministry, they say you can't keep Torah, you can only try to keep Torah. What does it mean that statement? That you cannot keep Torah, you can only try to keep Torah?
You can keep Torah.
I know the Bible says that, but why do they always say you can only try? There's one I work with him talking to him. He says, "Well, he only tried to keep Torah. He really can't keep."
God says in Deuteronomy 30, you can.
Dios dice en Deuteronomio 30.
Go ahead, Mark. Dr. Mark.
I'm
It's effort.
Se necesita empeño.
In the world we're living in, it's very hard.
Y el mundo que estamos viviendo es muy duro.
But just like Rav Will has been doing the offering each of the days of Sukkot.
Pero como el rabino Will ha hecho ofrendas cada día en el Sukkot, en el tabernáculo.
You gotta have the place to be able to build an altar.
Tenemos que tener el lugar para construir ese altar.
For the sin offering.
Para esa ofrenda del pecado.
And for the thanks offering.
Y para la ofrenda de dar gracias.
Remember, you don't have to keep all 613.
Acuérdate, tú no tienes que...
Of the 34 categories.
Uno no tiene que guardar los 613 mandamientos, solamente los únicos que aplican.
Okay? So, a lot of people believe Satan.
Así que muchos creen en Satanás, o le creen a Satanás. Yo creo a Yeshua.
And I can do all things through Messiah who strengthens.
Y yo puedo hacer todas cosas en Yeshua que me fortalece.
But you have to look at it like sports.
Pero tenemos que mirarlo como un deporte.
I've been on teams that have lost every game.
Yo he estado en equipos que han perdido todos los juegos.
And I've been on teams that have won championships.
Y he estado en equipos que han ganado el campeonato.
5 championships I've been on.
5 campeonatos he estado.
To get to that in each one of those sports that I did.
Para llegar a esa meta en los deportes que yo hice.
Requires a tremendous amount of dedication.
Se requiere mucha dedicación.
And that's where I think people don't want to do the work.
Y ahí es donde yo pienso que muchas personas no quieren hacer el trabajo.
What?
I think that saying we can try and do the Torah is either a really big, should I use the term cop out? Like, I mean, they don't want to.
You 60s child.
They want to opt out of it. They want to have like a safety net, or they just plain don't want to try. But the thing is, I think what people don't understand about the Torah, and I think many in Christianity, the reason that they don't want to follow the Torah is because they're afraid of it. But the Torah, even though it has very strict guidelines, it also provides that opportunity to be able to come back if you mess up. And I mean, I don't think a lot of people understand that, where if you sin inadvertently, it can, you can come back. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not, the reason I think that a lot of people look at God as and Jesus as a, loving guy, is because, I'm serious, Christians are like, they don't understand that the same God of the Old Testament is the same guy that was walking on the earth, where if you sin inadvertently, or like in the case of the woman that sinned, where she should have been stoned to death, but she wasn't. Why? Because the Torah is just. The guy should have been in there. And the Pharisees did not bring. They were the ones that broke Torah, and they were hoping to get away with it. I mean, the Torah is fair and just, and a lot of people, they just do not see that. And that's why they say, well, we can try and do Torah. Well, no, do Torah.
In tying together with the Halloween study.
Okay. Enlazar esto con el estudio de Halloween.
you would not be celebrating this pagan holiday
No celebraríamos este día pagano
if your life was tied around God's word.
si nuestra vida estuviera atada con la palabra de
And
Dios.
things are not hard when it's your life.
Las cosas no son difíciles cuando esto es parte de tu vida.
I mean, sometimes it's hard to get up for work, then you're maybe tired,
Muchas veces veremos que estamos cansados para ir al trabajo, pero
but if you're doing your job
si estás haciendo tu trabajo
and you know your job,
y tú conoces tu
it's not too
trabajo,
hard.
no es duro.
You know, Dr. Markham, maybe your first year of residency was a little difficult.
Que quizás para Dr. Mark su primer día de su primer año de residencia quizás fue.
But you got a little gray
duro.
hair now. I think surgery is a lot easier now.
Pienso que la cirugía es un poco más fácil.
Except maybe with the new robotic stuff, but that's cool. Okay? And it's the same with anybody in what they're doing.
Es lo mismo, esto aplica con todos nuestro trabajo.
Like Sandy said to Rebitson the other day,
Como Sandy le dijo a Robertson,
I'm starting to understand these holy days now.
yo estoy empezando a entender estos días santos,
But it took 3 years.
pero tomó 3 años.
It's okay.
I thought it was 2.
I thought you said 3.
No, 2.
2?
I was telling me 3 though.
She's going for
that
3.
long.
This is your 3rd time, yeah. Yeah.
I remember.
But if the scriptures are your life,
Pero si las escrituras son tu vida,
then things are easy.
entonces las cosas sí son más
And
fáciles.
that's why Moshe is exhorting us here in verse 46. Make sure you teach your kids.
Es por eso que Moisés nos exhorta aquí que los hijos aprendan esto,
It is our life.
porque es nuestra vida.
So we go back to slide number 11.
Así que vamos a la página 11
Slide
ahora.
11.
Página
Back to
11.
Exodus 23:24.
Éxodo 23, 24. Éxodo 23, versículo 24.
Exodus 23, verse 24. Is this day to honor death, October 31st?
Que es este día para honrar la muerte.
Yes.
How I see this,
Speak up.
How I see this, it's like, if you feel that you're dead, why not celebrate? Because you said it. It's a day of death, right?
It's a day of death.
Exactly. So if you're dead spiritually, why not celebrate?
Right, but well, the beginning part of this study is about what God says.
Okay. El comienzo de este estudio es lo que dice Dios.
Because unfortunately, there are many Christian churches celebrating Halloween or this harvest festival.
Porque desafortunadamente muchas iglesias cristianas están siguiendo este día de la cosecha o este día de las brujas, Halloween.
Unfortunately, there are some Messianic congregations also doing this.
Desafortunadamente también hay varias congregaciones mesiánicas celebrando
Now
esto.
let's see what God says.
Ahora vamos a ver lo que Dios dice.
Exodus 23, verse 24.
Éxodo 23, verso 24.
You are not to worship their gods, serve them, or follow their practices. Rather, you are to demolish them completely and smash their standing stones to pieces. This is where Romans gets so hard to understand.
Es aquí donde Romanos la carta de Romanos es muy difícil de entender.
Because Paul goes on this whole dissertation.
Porque Pablo habla de este tema.
If a person believes in their heart they're serving God.
Si alguien en su corazón piensa que está adorando a Dios.
God says no.
Dios dice no.
I don't care about your heart.
A mí no me importa.
Follow my word.
Solamente sigue mi palabra.
Don't do their practices.
No hagas las prácticas
because
de ellos.
I'm a jealous God.
Porque yo soy un Dios celoso.
And when you follow me, I'm going to pour out the rain.
Y cuando tú me sigues, yo voy a derramar esa lluvia.
You know, California, we got rain again this morning.
Nosotros tenemos
California is dry. It is a desert.
California está seco, seco, seco.
So here in verse 24,
así que en este verso 24,
don't follow their practices.
No sigas sus prácticas.
So what would those practices be?
Así que ¿qué prácticas serían?
Separate your children. Okay? What would their practices be? We're going to learn all about Halloween tonight.
¿Qué son estas prácticas?
Where does it come from?
¿De dónde viene este día Halloween?
What God is it serving?
¿Qué Dios está sirviendo?
Because it is a God.
Porque es un Dios.
So here in verse 24, Jehovah is saying, don't worship their gods.
Así que Dios dice aquí en el verso 24, no adores a esos dioses.
Don't serve them.
No los sirvas.
You're going to see by giving out candy,
Van a ver que como dar dulce,
you're serving their God.
estás sirviendo al Dios de
Okay?
ellos.
Following their practices. Where does this practice of candy come from?
Seguir sus tradiciones. ¿De dónde viene esta
Now,
tradición?
what I like the most is the sale after Halloween of the candy.
Ahora lo que me gusta a mí es la venta después de Halloween de todos los dulces.
Yes, Steve.
Obviously, we stopped believing in Halloween a long time ago, but I saw one of my family members and the baby, I want candy, I want candy. I can't give him candy. But I did take out $1 out of my pocket and gave it to him. I said, you can go buy yourself candy. Is that participating in Halloween?
No, candy for candy's sake is not Halloween.
No, but you're saying if I give him, you're participating.
No, what we're going to look at is on that particular holy day of Satan.
Lo que vamos a ver aquí es ese día en particular dedicado a Satanás.
Somebody knocks at your door.
Si alguien toca tu puerta.
So they say, trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something to
I
eat.
give him $1.
Y si te dicen,
No, don't give them nothing.
y si te dicen trick or treat,
Because you're serving their God.
porque estás sirviendo al Dios de ellos.
Yeah. Oh, and people say, well, we give out tracts on that day. Yeah, they give out the Halloween tract.
Muchas personas dicen, damos esos tratados.
No, you don't serve their God in any way, shape, or form on
No
this,
sirvas
that day.
al Dios de ellos de cualquier manera.
Yes, Sandra?
Well, we put a sign up and we say, there's no candy here, we don't believe in Halloween. So they know not to knock on our door. But it was funny when you said that even Messianic places, they do this. I see this, how they use this day to confuse even the kids. Because they say we don't believe in Halloween, so we can't put none of those costumes on. But I literally saw how they use biblical costumes to put on these kids on that day.
Yeah, we used to do it.
What?
When Connor and Tristan were kids, we used to dress them up in biblical costumes. Moses, an angel.
No, what was I was Jonah and
Tristan was, Connor was Jonah.
whale.
Oh, Tristan was Jonah. Right. Well, you don't want to do any of it.
Así que no queremos tener nada que ver con esto, con este día.
When we lived in Clifton,
Cuando nosotros vivimos en Clifton,
we used to play the Jesus movie on our window. We put up a big sheet so it would be backwards. So we played, and then we played the sound out the windows.
nosotros teníamos la película de Jesus, de Jesús en la ventana y teníamos los speakers
So let's go on to slide 12.
fuera para que todos subieran. Okay, vamos a el what is it?
Slide 12, página
página
12.
12.
Leviticus 20, verse 22 and 23.
Levítico 20, versículo 22 y 23.
Leviticus 20, verse 22 and 23.
Levítico 20, versículo 22 y 23.
See, the key is getting deep with God's word.
La clave aquí es profundizarse uno más en la palabra de Dios.
Because how long, you were a child.
Porque ustedes fueron
Everybody here
niños.
was a child at one point.
Todos aquí fuimos niños.
How many times did your parent have to say, don't do that before you got don't do that?
¿Cuántas veces nuestros padres nos decían, no hagas esto? Acá nos daban con una bofetada. No lo hagas.
And you want to know what the biggest holiday monetarily in the world is?
Y quieren saber cuál día es el día más grande hablando monetariamente.
Halloween.
Halloween. Yeah.
Halloween. Yeah.
Halloween es el día más grande festejado a través del mundo.
Worldwide. Because everybody celebrates
And
it.
it falls on the same day for everybody too?
Everybody.
Todos celebran.
Okay? Leviticus 20, verse 22 and 23.
Levítico 20, versículos 22 y 23.
You are to observe all my regulations and rulings and act on them, so that the land to which I am bringing you will not vomit you out. Do not live by the regulations of the nations which I'm expelling ahead of you, because they did all the things which is why I detested them. So if you're doing these practices that you're going to learn about tonight,
Así que si ustedes practican estas tradiciones, estos tipos de costumbres,
God's not just going to dislike you, He's going to detest you.
Dios no solamente no te va a disgustar a Dios, le va a disgustar, sino va a desagradecerlo, va a ser algo detestable a él.
Well, when I first started, and with the other congregation, I know this is rabbinic, but I just want to know from your perspective if there's any truth to it. They used to do Purim.
Purim, yeah.
And Purim, you know, they'll come dressed as someone biblical, you know, put a mask on. That's how he said that's how they switched it up to Halloween. I mean, is there any basis, grounds to that?
Purim has become the Jewish Halloween.
Purim se ha convertido en el Halloween de los judíos
Because they've forgotten the reason that they're doing it.
porque ellos se olvidaron por cuál causa están celebrando ese día.
There are 7 holy days
Hay 7 días santos
and 2 memorial days.
y hay 2 días memoriales.
You can't understand what Yeshua is saying in Matthew 24:15
No puedes entender las palabras de Yeshua en Mateo 24:15
unless you have studied Hanukkah
al no ser de que estudien Hanukkah
and the book of Daniel.
y el libro de Daniel.
Okay, because when did the abomination of desolation happen?
Porque cuando pasó esa abominación.
Okay?
De
Why do we need to
desolación.
study Purim?
¿Por qué es que tenemos que estudiar Purim?
Because who's looking for the nuclear missile right
¿Por
now?
quién está buscando esa arma nuclear?
Persia.
Persia, los persios.
Yes. So you need to know who the players are because God knows who they are.
Así que tenemos que saber quiénes son los que están jugando
Irán.
ese juego de ajedrez. Irán.
And they're this close to getting it.
Y ellos están así de cerca para obtener esa arma.
That's why a mysterious accident happened last week.
Es por eso que un accidente misterioso pasó la semana
Looked like
pasada.
a missile happened to hit the entrance.
Parece que un misil cayó muy cerca de la
Somebody
entrada.
did something.
Alguien hizo algo.
Okay? Because the party's getting ready to go.
Porque la fiesta está a punto de comenzar.
When you see the Palestinians are bypassing the Israelis for a statehood,
Cuando miren que los palestinos están sobrepasando a los israelitas para obtener ese
and they're
estado
going directly to the UN,
y ellos están yendo directamente a las Naciones Unidas.
you have Zechariah 14, verse 2 happening in front of your eyeball.
Tenemos Zacarías, la profecía de Zacarías 14, versículo 2, pasando frente a nuestros ojos.
When you have a report coming out today
Cuando tenemos el reportaje saliendo hoy,
that they're looking at 10,000 Ebola cases a week,
que ellos están viendo 10,000 casos de ébola por semana.
as a band used to play, Welcome to the Jungle. We got
Como-
fun and games.
Como esa banda de los 80s
Yeah,
tocaba.
they declared just about 45 minutes ago, I think it was about 45 minutes ago, the state of Texas in a crisis of Ebola.
Welcome
They're
to the
not letting
party.
nobody in.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Constitution has declared Texas in a state of crisis right now.
Ready?
The United States? Or, really? Wow.
Texas is
The
its own country.
Constitution,
Así que la Constitución, who's the Texas Constitution?
yes.
Really? Wow.
And the UN also declared that Texas is in a
Wow.
state of crisis right
The
now.
United Nations, really? Wow. Así que Steve está diciendo que hace 45 minutos declararon que nadie puede entrar al estado de Texas.
Back to Halloween.
Yeah. Okay, so regresando
Okay.
a Halloween.
See, if we live by God's regulations,
Si vivimos a las reglas, los reglamentos de Dios,
He will not detest us.
Él no nos va a detestar.
He will protect
Él
us.
nos va a proteger.
He will love us.
Él nos va a
He will
amar.
give things to us.
Él nos va a dar cosas.
Okay? But if you live by these other rules
Pero si vives por estas otras reglas
and you're getting ready for your Halloween party,
y te estás alistando para ese festejo de Halloween,
I mean, all the commercials on television about Halloween.
muchos comerciales hay de Halloween.
What was the one of the fast food chains? You know, all these sexual costumes that you could wear.
Subway. I
Yeah,
think,
Subway.
was
She comes as a woman Viking, a nurse, all these others.
Hubo un comercial de...
I don't know, my wife never dressed in an outfit like that to be a nurse.
And they do it subtle. I went to go eat at Applebee's, and when you leave, they tell you.
Did you get to 2 for $20?
Of course. No, I did that the Sunday. Find out appetite. But they tell you, oh, kids, come on Halloween, kids eat free if they come dressed in their costumes.
Muchas...
It's just the way they do it.
Well, look, no, it's a good thing what Steve is talking about.
Es algo bueno para ver lo que Steve está hablando aquí.
The object is for Satan to get to your children.
El objetivo es que Satanás llegue a tus hijos.
And, you know, a parent, we could go out for dinner, the kids get to eat free.
Dicen los padres, pues podemos salir a comer ese día y los hijos pueden comer gratis si vienen vestidos de algo,
You see
disfrazados.
the enticement of Satan.
Vemos esa tentación de Satanás.
Make it easy.
Hazlo fácil.
You don't want to follow that bad Torah,
Tú no quieres seguir ese Torah malo,
but Jehovah's saying here in verse 23,
pero Jehová está diciendo aquí en el versículo
do
23,
not live by their regulations.
no vivan cerca de sus reglamentos.
And if you stay with me, I'll keep you in the land.
Y si tú me sigues, te voy a permitir en esa tierra.
Going on
en
to
la
slide
tierra.
13,
Okay. Página 13.
let's go to the Brit Hadashah, the New Testament. Go to Romans 8, please.
Vamos al Nuevo Testamento, vamos al libro de Romanos.
Romans 8, verse 13.
Romanos 8, versículo 13.
Romanos. Go to Luke and make a right. Go to the book of Acts and make a right.
Que Romanos 8, versículo 13.
Romans 8. Romanos 8. Verse 13. Romans 8, verse 13. For if you live according to your old nature, you will certainly die. But if, by the Spirit, you keep putting to death the practices of the body, you will live. When you become a believer
Cuando te haces creyente
and a follower of Yeshua,
y un seguidor de Yeshua,
you have to choose between your old nature and becoming a new creation.
tenemos que elegir de nuestro antepasado o nuestro pasado y hacernos una nueva creación.
But I wasn't that bad.
No, pero yo no fui tan
Maybe to
malo.
yourself you weren't,
Pues quizás a ti mismo no,
but to God you stank.
pero para Dios eras detestable.
But that's the beautiful thing about our King.
Pero esa es la cosa más bella de nuestro Rey.
He's willing to start all over with you once you truly accept Him.
Que Él está dispuesto a estar contigo cuando lo aceptes.
But the biggest key here is what are practices?
Pero la clave aquí es qué es nuestra práctica.
What were you doing?
¿Qué estábamos haciendo?
What do you need to change?
¿Qué es lo que se necesita para cambiar?
Okay? That is our key.
Esa es nuestra clave.
And when you start to, a lot of people start out good,
Muchas personas empiezan bien,
but then they start to be in the seesaw.
pero luego empiezan a moverse de lado a lado.
You go back and forth.
que vas de lado a lado.
Well, I'm just going over. I'm not going to really participate in Halloween,
Pues no voy a participar en Halloween,
but everybody's going to be there. I want to talk to some people about God.
pero va a haber muchas personas ahí y quiero hablar con otras personas acerca de Dios.
Can I go over to my family's house at Christmas?
Puedo ir a la casa de mi familia para celebrar la Navidad.
What are they going to be doing?
¿Qué es lo que ellos van a hacer?
And are you participating in their practices?
Y vas a participar en sus prácticas.
So the Lord is saying here through His servant Rav Shaul Paul,
Así que Dios está hablando a través de su siervo Shaul Pablo.
put to death the old practices.
Pon a muerte las antiguas prácticas.
Once you know the holy days,
Cuando ya conozcas los días santos,
then you start saying, I'm not doing that stuff again.
ya no voy a hacer esas cosas otra vez.
Going on to slide 14.
Okay, vamos a la página 14 ahora.
Right, so let's learn what the name Halloween means.
Vamos a aprender sobre el nombre de Halloween.
Okay, it is a word that has been smashed together.
Es una palabra que hemos puesto junta.
Like in New Jersey, we have the city of Newark.
Que tenemos en New Jersey, por ejemplo, tenemos la ciudad Newark.
But the name really is not Newark.
Pero el nombre no es realmente Newark.
Its original name was New Ark.
El nombre original es New Ark.
Okay, was where the Bible was being preached.
Era donde estaba siendo predicada la palabra de Dios.
Okay, it has been squished together.
La hemos puesto la palabra junta.
And that's what happened with Halloween.
Y eso fue lo que pasó con la palabra Halloween.
It was, the word began as Hallows Even.
Okay.
English word.
La palabra es Hallows Even, o la tarde de
Like
Hallow,
even.
like
Noche.
like, yeah, but Hallow as in like saintly.
Yes, because it's,
Okay.
we're going to get to it.
Es Hallow como santificado.
Like something is hallowed.
Y even, que es atardecer, o una tarde santificada.
Okay, it was Hallows Day, which is All Saints Day with the Catholics.
Hallows Day, que fue un día santificado, mejor conocido como All Saints Day, que es un festejo católico.
Commemorating Christian saints and martyrs
Conmemorando a santos cristianos y mártires
who had died for the faith up until the Middle Ages. It was on November 1st.
que habían muerto para la palabra durante los Middle Ages.
Middle Ages?
Medieval.
Yeah, Middle Ages, medieval period.
Medieval, tiempos medievales.
Okay, so here, this is where the name began.
Así que aquí vemos que el nombre empezó aquí.
And this is what messes up a lot of Christians also.
Y eso es lo que confunde a muchos cristianos.
Edad Media.
Edad Media, okay.
Okay.
Medieval time.
When you tell them they're doing Sunday worship, you're a Catholic.
Así que les dices, si estás adorando el domingo, estás haciendo algo
But I'm not a
católico.
Catholic, they say I'm a Christian.
Pero yo no soy católico, soy cristiano.
What day of the week do you worship on?
Pues ¿qué día adoras tú?
Sunday.
El domingo.
Well, who started that?
Pues ¿quién empezó esto?
Constantine and Pope Sylvester I.
¿Qué? El emperador Constantino y I'm sorry.
Sylvester I.
El Papa Silvestre el primero. Sebastián, okay.
Okay.
Sebastián.
No,
Sylvester.
Oh, Sylvester.
Okay, Silvestre. I'm deep.
He's a grandpa 5 times over.
Too many concerts. Too many
Okay,
concerts.
so going on to slide number 15.
Okay, viendo la página 15 ahora.
Once again, we see the death pictures there.
Okay, así que vemos otra vez, una vez más, los retratos de la muerte.
So let's go through a history of Halloween.
Así que vamos a ver algo histórico aquí de Halloween.
All right, so let's go on to slide number 16.
Okay, vamos a la página 16.
Okay, most of us have been taught in Christian church to believe that holidays, which we celebrate today, are Christian.
Ok, muchos de nosotros se nos ha enseñado que la iglesia cristiana creen que muchos de estos holidays o días santos que celebramos hoy día son cristianos.
Just because the church at Rome declared themselves.
Simplemente porque la iglesia romana lo ha declarado.
Most people rationalize this away.
Muchas personas tratan de justificar esto.
You know, oh, we put up a Christmas tree
Ponemos ese árbol de Navidad
because it's evergreen.
porque es verde
And it reminds us of Jesus' love for us all the time.
y nos acuerda del amor de Jesús para todo el tiempo.
And you rationalize things away.
Y personas tratan de justificar estas acciones.
And we convince ourselves,
Y nosotros tratamos de
it's
convencernos.
okay.
Está bien
You
eso.
know, I'm going to get a Butterfinger.
Solamente voy a tener un
Or,
Butterfinger.
you know, a Zagnut or whatever you're...
un tipo de dulce que nos gusta.
Or, you know, when I was a kid, you know, you come home, people give you money instead.
O cuando venía a casa, en tiempos más antiguos, las personas te daban dinero.
And you make 20 or 30 bucks on that.
O tenías 20 o 30 dólares ese día.
Or some people don't want their children to be isolated.
O muchas personas no quieren que sus hijos sean aislados de
We
participar.
have to make sure our children have friends.
O tenemos que asegurarnos que nuestros hijos tengan sus amigos.
Well, as one song said, you got a friend in Jesus.
Como dice una canción, tienes un amigo en Jesús.
Or you hear this saying,
Oyes este dicho,
everybody's doing it, it can't be bad.
todos lo están haciendo, no puede ser malo.
Yeah, it can.
Sí, sí lo puede ser.
It's just harmless fun for children.
Es algo divertido para los
Has
hijos.
everybody
para
ever
los
heard any of
niños.
these things?
¿Han escuchado ustedes estos?
It's hard to also, like, you know, I'm not gonna lie. We even as Christians, as young, we celebrated Christmas. We had like the nicest trees and the nicest decorations, and even little baby Jesus underneath the tree. And like we just thought it was all about being Christian. You know, we thought we were following all the way.
En muchos,
There was no deception. You know, nobody can tell us anything about Christmas. We didn't celebrate Halloween, but
Jesús dice, muchos cristianos compraban los mejores árboles para la Navidad, compraban el niñito Jesús, lo ponían debajo del árbol y celebraban todo muy bien, porque era un festejo cristiano. Es un festejo cristiano.
It's funny because all the pagan holidays, mostly the more important, like common, like Halloween and Christmas, everybody goes broke after that. Everybody doesn't have money.
But the biggest key here
La clave más grande aquí
is, and Cheryl saying, the etrog, the bigger the better. You're putting seeds into your children.
Lo que estamos haciendo con justificar esto, estamos sembrando esa semilla dentro de nuestros
That is
hijos
leading them away from God.
que está alejando a ellos, los está separando de Dios.
And this is where we sell their souls to the devil.
Y es aquí donde vendemos las almas de nuestros hijos a Satanás.
Going on to slide 17.
Okay, continuando con la página 17.
You know, and a lot of people struggle with this time of year, each and every year.
Muchos personas, should I say people of faith, right?
Yes.
Christian. Muchas personas creyentes luchan en contra de estos días.
Okay? Another thing about Halloween is it's a glorification of witchcraft.
Otra cosa de Halloween es una glorificación de hechicería.
And what does God say to do to the witch?
¿Qué es lo que Dios dice hacer con hechiceros?
Kill them.
matarlos,
Get them out of there.
sáquenlos.
Okay? It's, I'm just putting on a fireman's outfit. How can that be bad?
Solamente me estoy disfrazando de un bombero. ¿Cómo puede ser malo eso?
I just made my kid look like a lizard. Or, what's so bad about that?
Hice que mi hijo se vistiera de un lizard, un lagarto.
And a lot of Christians have a problem with this holiday.
Y muchos cristianos tienen un problema con este día, festejo.
What seeds are you laying, and are they good or bad?
¿Qué tipo de semillas estamos sembrando y son buenas o son malas?
Let's go on to slide number 18.
Okay, vamos a la página 18.
Does Halloween have its history in Druidic worship?
Okay. Tiene historia Halloween en la práctica
Druida.
Druídica.
I forgot a syllable.
Yeah. Druídica.
Yeah. Druidica. And the answer is yes.
La respuesta es sí.
No, you got it as druid in Spanish.
Druid in Spanish. Druid in Spanish. Druid in Spanish.
Druida.
Okay?
Druida.
So Halloween started off, as we're going to see,
Así que Halloween empezó
as a druid holiday.
como un festejo druido.
We read in the Torah
Leímos en el Torah
and in Romans
y en Romanos
that we should not act like the pagans.
que nosotros no deberíamos de actuar como los paganos.
And Halloween is a high holy day
Y Halloween es un día muy santo
of Satanism
para el satanismo
and Wicca.
y Wicca.
Okay, this is witchcraft.
Esto es hechicería.
And you don't want to have anything to do with that.
No quieres nada que ver con esto.
Slide number 19.
Página 19 ahora.
Let's turn to Ephesians chapter 5, please.
Vamos al Nuevo Testamento, Efesios capítulo 5, versículos 6 al 12.
Ephesians 5,
Efesios 5,
verse 6 through 12.
versículos 6 al 12.
Anybody learning about Halloween today?
Ephesians who? 5?
Ephesians 5.
Ephesians who?
Wicca.
That sounds like Wicca, like the word, the witch.
It comes from it.
Yeah, but it sounds like it.
It is it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And that's Wicca was led onto the Air Force Academy campus.
Wicca fue permitido en los campos donde estudian para la Fuerza Aérea.
As a recognized religion.
Fue permitido como una religión permitida hace 2 años.
And they did a ceremony there.
Y hicieron una ceremonia.
Yeah. And for a while they wouldn't let the Bible in the Air Force Academy.
Y por muchos años no permitieron la Biblia en la Academia Aérea. So maybe that explains the airstrikes and why they're not working. Quite possibly.
No, Deuteronomy 28
Yeah.
explains that, and
Okay.
Leviticus 26.
Is this just for the Air Force or all 3?
Just for the Air Force, the Marines said, "Come and try to take the Bible away." The Marines were a little bit bold,
Yeah.
because what is in the Marine hymn?
Los que se encuentra en el himno de los
No, it's
marinos.
the Navy hymn.
Yeah, I think it is.
To the shores of Tripoli. Why was there Navy in Tripoli?
Porque es que la fuerza
1700s.
la fuerza de los it's the Marine hymn.
It's the
From
Marine
the
hymn,
halls
sorry.
of
Okay.
Montezuma.
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli.
Yeah, el himno de los marinos, no de los marineros, sino de los marinos, la fuerza.
Why
ejército.
was the Navy and the Marines there?
¿Por qué es que los marinos y los
Muslims
marineros
were
estaban
taking our
ahí?
ships.
Los musulmanes estaban tomando nuestros barcos.
Look it up. It's very interesting.
Es muy interesante eso.
It's been there in that song for a couple hundred years.
Ha estado en esa canción por muchos años.
Okay, Ephesians 5, verse 6 through 12.
Que Efesios 5, versículos 6 al 12.
Yeah, sorry, Mark. The other Mark. He's a Marine. I really just like slam the Marines. Sorry, my dad was a Navy guy. We took you everywhere. Marines, get like, go tackle that tree. Let no one deceive you with empty talk. For it is because of these things that God's judgment is coming on those who disobey Him. So don't become partners with them. For you used to be darkness, but now, united with the Lord, you are light. Live as children of the light. For the fruit of the light is in every kind of goodness, righteousness, truth. Try to determine what will please Yehovah. Have nothing to do with the deeds produced by darkness. We need another parent in there. But instead expose them. It is shameful even to speak of these things these people do in secret. So let's look at verse 11.
Vamos a ver el versículo 11.
Have nothing to do with the deeds produced by darkness, but instead expose them. This is what we're doing here tonight.
Eso es lo que estamos haciendo aquí esta noche.
Yeah. Have nothing to do with Halloween at all.
No tenga nada que ver con este día, día de Halloween.
No, Mark's just it's not yours? Praise God. Okay, so you don't want your kid being in school.
Así que no quieres que tu hijo esté en la escuela.
You don't want your kid drawing pumpkins.
No quieres que tu hijo esté dibujando calabazas.
You yourselves don't want to have anything to do with it.
No tenga nada que ver con este día.
Because if we look in verse 6,
Porque si vemos en el versículo 6,
let no one deceive you with empty talk, for it is because of these things that God's judgment is coming on those who disobey Him.
Yeah.
We got something coming, guys.
tenemos algo que está por venir.
You know, if Steve is correct, that report about Texas closing its borders,
Si Steve está correcto en que Texas cerró sus fronteras,
and there's a state of emergency in Texas.
ya hay un estado de emergencia en Texas.
Huh? That means Cheryl's staying. And what does Cheryl say? Huh? Okay. Okay. So it's because we are taking in the darkness into our lives.
Es porque estamos tomando esas tinieblas y las estamos tomando dentro de
And
nuestras
Paul is
vidas.
saying here, you used to be part of darkness.
Y Pablo está diciendo aquí, eras parte de esas tinieblas,
Now you're children of the light.
pero ahora son hijos de la luz.
Don't have anything to do with the
No
darkness.
tengan nada que ver con esas tinieblas.
Okay? And then in verse 10, here is your key.
Aquí el versículo 10 es nuestra clave.
Try to determine what will please the Lord.
Comprobando lo que es agradable al Señor.
Okay? But it's Paul, but he's what will try to determine. Well, what will how can you determine?
We should know.
¿Cómo es que podemos determinar?
Well, remember he's talking to babies.
Right, okay. You're right.
You know, think of yourself 2 years ago.
That's right.
Mr. I got a short beard.
I'm still a baby.
Okay? So, try to determine what will please the Lord.
Así que traten de determinar lo que va a agradar al Señor.
Then judgment doesn't come on you.
Y luego ese juicio no va a llegar a ti.
Have nothing to do with the deeds that produce darkness.
No tenga nada que ver con esas comprobantes que nos dirigen hacia las
So we
tinieblas.
learned that Halloween is a Druid festival.
Así que hemos aprendido que Halloween es un festival druido.
And where did the Druids do their worship?
¿Y dónde es donde ellos hicieron su adoración?
Anybody ever see a picture of Stonehenge?
Stonehenge.
Stonehenge. Those big stones in,
Oh, in what country is that?
is that Ireland or
Ireland.
Ireland?
En Ireland, esas piedras.
All the things that there's
Is it England? Stonehenge is in England?
Yeah, I
Right,
think
sorry,
so.
I'm getting things wrong tonight.
Okay, so Stonehenge es encontrado en Inglaterra.
Okay. It's a big circle thing,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and the moon shines in certain spots and certain times in the year.
Y la luna brilla en ciertas partes durante el
And
año.
when's their biggest holiday?
¿Y cuándo es el día más santo
Yeah.
para ellos? Era Halloween.
I don't know about Halloween, but I know that my grandma, my dad's mom, she does her things on full moons. On full moons.
That's
and on-
witchcraft.
Yeah, and on Friday the 13th, she do a special stuff. But
Witchcraft.
Yeah, but I don't know if in Halloween she does it.
I'm sure she does.
Yeah, and she goes to church every Sunday.
Going on to slide number 20.
Ok, vamos a la página 20.
Through the years, Halloween has evolved.
Okay.
Through the years, Halloween has evolved from a day of satanic worship into a secular celebration of sugar.
Sugar, okay. A través de los años, Halloween se ha convertido de un día para adorar a Satanás en una celebración secular celebrando el azúcar.
Once it was adults dressing up as costumes to scare away spirits.
Empezó con adultos disfrazándose para asustar a los fantasmas.
Now they dress up the children in these costumes and parents don't.
Ahora se disfrazan a los niños y los adultos también.
Why has Satan done this?
¿Por qué es que Satanás ha hecho esto?
What would be the purpose?
¿Qué sería el propósito de esto?
Before?
Enticing the children.
But why?
¿Tentando a los niños?
More impressionable, they're easily impressionable.
No, there's a lot of adults that are impressionable.
Okay. Hay muchos adultos que son que están impresionados.
What purpose does a child serve over an adult?
¿Qué es lo que un niño
Destroy the virgin Jewish males.
Destroy the virgin Jewish males. Revelation
está,
14, verse 1 and 2.
está tratando de destruir a todos los hombres vírgenes judíos?
Okay? Once you get rid of them,
Cuando ya te deshagas de ellos,
Satan believes that he can still win.
Satanás piensa que él puede ganar. So,
14, 1, 2.
so in secularism, because I know that there are a lot of Jewish people, like people that have Jewish roots, that are celebrating this holiday, but also, like Steve was saying, Purim has become the Halloween, the Jewish Halloween. So he's trying to do it in both Judaism and in the secular. He's trying to really blow everything down.
Beth Israel and Wayne has a huge Purim celebration.
Okay, and
But not biblical. Everybody dresses up in costume.
Beit Israel tienen un festejo en Purim, durante Purim, que todos se disfrazan durante este día Purim.
Okay? Going on to slide 21.
Okay, continuando con la página 21 ahora.
Okay? Halloween is considered by most in the United States as a fun holiday.
El Halloween es considerado por muchos en los Estados Unidos como un día divertido.
But it has its roots in the Roman religions,
Pero tiene sus raíces en las religiones romanas,
Catholic Christianity,
el cristianismo católico,
Irish folklore,
el folclore irlandés
and British politics.
y políticas británicas.
It's always the Brits. But don't worry, honey, the Union Jack there you're wearing is not really a problem. Okay, let's go take a look at this, slide 22.
Okay. Vamos a ver esto aquí.
Okay?
Página 22.
Halloween had its ancient roots.
Halloween tiene sus raíces.
Around 2,000 years ago, the Celts,
Durante 2000 años, los célticos,
who lived in what is now the United Kingdom,
que vivían en lo que es ahora conocido como el Reino Unido,
Ireland and northern France,
Irlanda y el norte de Francia,
had a festival commemorating the end of the year,
tenían un festival conmemorando el final del año,
which was November 1st.
que era conocido como el noviembre primero.
It's only recently that it's relatively recent that it changed to December 31st.
Es muy
October 31st.
Yeah, October 31st into November 1.
no, so it's not December 31st. It's,
No, it was, their New Year's Eve was October 31st.
okay, el año nuevo de ellos era noviembre el primero,
Into November 1.
de octubre 31 al noviembre
They
1.
believe the day changed at midnight.
Ellos pensaban que el tiempo o el día cambiaba a la
And
medianoche
midnight to 3 a.m. is called the witching hour.
y la media hora hasta las 3 de la mañana es conocido como la hora bruja, the witching hour.
Yes, don't worry, we'll get to what they think about the dead and all the other stuff at that hour.
Okay.
I'm wondering what is in the brother in Mexico too.
We'll get to the one in Mexico in a little bit. With the butterflies. Okay? Whoa. Slide number 23.
Okay.
They believe that the night before New Year,
Ellos pensaban que la noche antes del año nuevo,
this is the Celts,
estos son los célticos,
believed that the wall between the living and the dead was opened,
pensaban que la pared entre los vivientes y los muertos se abría,
allowing the spirits of the dead, both bad and good, to mingle among the living beings.
permitiendo que los espíritus buenos y malos que estuvieran a través con los seres vivientes.
And the spirits would possess living people.
Y los espíritus poseían a las personas.
That's why a lot of people do seances on Halloween evening.
Es por eso, do you know what a seance is? Hacen como un culto
Okay.
durante Halloween, right?
Do you remember the movie Ghost with Whoopi Goldberg and Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore?
¿Ustedes se acuerdan de esa película que hizo Demi Moore hace unos cuantos
Whoopi
años?
Goldberg,
Ghost?
she was the one who would speak with the dead.
Whoopi Goldberg era el personaje que hablaba con los espíritus muertos.
All right? See, that was a movie that to draw you in. This is good.
Esa era una película para tentarlos, para decirles, esto es bueno.
And Patrick Swayze's character was able to communicate through OMA.
Y el personaje de Patrick Swayze hablaba con esta otra personaje.
But this comes from the Celtic religion.
Pero esto viene de la religión celta.
Now, these spirits would cause trouble,
Ahora, estos espíritus eran traviesos.
ruin crops,
Ellos desperdiciaban o destruían a las cosechas
and then they would search for a passage to the afterlife.
y ellos buscaban una manera de entrar a la vida después.
Slide number 24.
¿Ok? Página 24.
Now let's get to the God that it's celebrating.
Ahora vamos a ver el Dios que ellos celebraban.
Okay? The spelling is Samhain.
Que el nombre es deletreado Samhain, Samhain.
It is said Samhain.
Pero es pronunciado Samhain.
Okay? It is considered a magical holiday.
Es considerado un día mágico.
Okay? The Celtics say that it was a day that the spirits were unleashed.
Los celtas pensaban que esos espíritus eran derramados o liberados, desahogados,
Okay?
desatados.
Okay? And then you would have to offer these spirits
Y tenías que ofrecerle a estos espíritus
food and drink.
comida y bebida.
That's why people get hammered on Halloween.
Es por eso que muchas personas se ponen ebrias durante Halloween.
And I just need a beer or two to loosen me up.
Oh, necesito una cerveza para...
And you see what happens when somebody gets loose.
Y ustedes ven cuando alguien es desatado.
Their
con una
mouth starts
cerveza.
flying.
La boca empieza a abrir y dicen muchas cosas.
And also the people that do witchcraft, like the santeros, they give food and drink to their saints on the floor, and money.
And this is where it comes from.
Esto es de donde viene. Steve está hablando de los santeros que ponen comida, bebida y hasta dinero para ofrecerle a los espíritus. Esto es de donde viene todo
That's
eso.
why we say trick or treats.
Es por eso que los niños dicen trick or treat.
If
cuando
you don't
vienen
give
a
me a
los-
treat,
Si no me das algo para comer,
I'm going to give you a trick on your house.
yo voy a hacerte como un truco.
So they would leave food and drink for these people, these spirits.
Así que ellos dejaban comida y bebida para estos espíritus.
So when you knock on the door,
Así que cuando tocan la puerta,
the kid is being this pagan holiday.
el niño está representando este día pagano.
It comes from the Celts, this particular one.
Viene de los celtas.
Next slide, slide 25.
Ok, próxima página, 25.
Other times the Celtics would dress up in these really outlandish costumes.
Ok, muchas versiones dicen que los celtas se disfrazaban en estos, se vestían en estos disfraces
Making noise to scare away the spirits.
y hacer como ruido para asustar a los espíritus.
Many thought that these spirits could predict the future.
Muchos pensaban que estos espíritus podían pronosticar el futuro.
This is what you're doing when you're celebrating Halloween.
Esto es lo que estás haciendo cuando celebras Halloween.
How many people want to have more to do with Halloween now?
¿Cuántos quieren algo que
Go on, you do.
con Halloween? No. I remember like a couple of years back, like maybe I'd say like about 8 years, before we started, the Christian walk. I remember that a friend of ours had invited us to a Halloween party, and we went. And I remember that they had a line going all the way up, and there were like a lot of people waiting on the stairs and all that, because they had like a medium or something like that was telling them their future and all
Their
that.
fortune.
Yeah, they were telling them their fortune, and I got in line, but I said, the line's too big, so so I didn't do it. But I remember there was like a huge line of people, waiting for that.
Next slide, slide 26.
Okay, so página 26.
During this festival of Samhain,
Durante este festejo pronunciado Samhain,
some people dressed up in these costumes,
muchas personas se disfrazaban, se vestían en estos disfraces,
and they believed that fairies were believed to roam the land during Samhain.
Okay.
Fairies.
Hadas, okay. Ellos pensaban que las hadas rodeaban los terrenos
And they would go door to door begging for food.
y ellos iban puerta a puerta pidiendo comida.
Trick or treat!
Trick or treat.
Begging for food.
Okay, rogando por comida o pidiendo comida.
Comes from the Celtics.
Viene de los celtas.
And those who gave food to the fairies were rewarded,
Y aquellos que les daban comida a las hadas,
while those that did not were punished.
se les daba como una recompensa, pero aquellos que no fueron castigados.
And this is where our modern trick or treat comes in.
Y esto es donde viene ese trick or treat, esa práctica de trick or
Trick
treat.
or treat, or I'm going to do something bad.
O si no, te voy a hacer algo malo.
This is where it all started, everybody. Okay.
Ahí fue donde empezó todo.
Slide 27.
Ok. Página 27.
Samhain was a supreme night of demonic jubilation.
Samhain era una noche suprema de jubilación demónica.
This will go really big when we get to the one from Mexico.
Y esto va a caer en esa celebración que hacen en México.
That spirits of the dead would rise out of their graves.
Que los espíritus de los muertos resucitaban de sus de las tumbas.
And the only way that you could appease these spirits
Y la única manera de poder agradar a estos
was
espíritus
with alcohol and treats.
era con alcohol y con
That's why it's
alcohol y
called,
comida.
when you go instead of a liquor store, it's called spirits.
Es por eso que cuando uno va a una tienda que vende licor se llaman espíritus o
Because it is a
spirits.
spirit that gets into people.
Porque es un espíritu que entra dentro de una
And the only
persona.
way to beat that spirit
Y la única manera de poder vencer a ese
is
espíritu
to get that spirit out of you by putting the light inside of you.
y poner esa luz dentro de ti.
And then the spirit will be removed.
Y ese espíritu será
May it
removido.
come into Herman.
Amen.
Amén.
Next slide. 28.
Something calling on you by your cup.
Vamos.
Where'd he go? Dead.
Uh-oh.
What is it? Centipede? What is it?
Yeah.
Bug. They've been leaving the door open downstairs. It's like we got air conditioning. Keep the door closed. Unless you're doing trick or treats. You never know. Okay? Here you see the satanic wheel.
Aquí vemos una rueda con festejos satánicos.
And they're the satanic holy days.
Estos son los días festejos satánicos.
They do have a calendar.
Ellos tienen un calendario también.
Okay? And you see the one there on the like at the 2 o'clock hour?
Como la
Yule.
como la es como un reloj. Si pueden ver aquí donde cae el número 2,
Okay.
tenemos
Yule. And here, I'll make it a little bit bigger for everybody. Shh, I'm talking. Okay? Yule, remember when you bring that tree into your house?
Yule, la celebración de Yule, acuérdense cuando traen ese árbol dentro de su casa,
It is the god Yule.
es el dios Yule.
It is a pagan god of trees.
Es un dios pagano de los árboles.
Okay, so you see the pagan, they have their holy days.
Así que vemos aquí que los paganos tienen los días santos.
And you see that there's 8.
Y vemos que hay 8 días santos.
How many holy days do we have?
¿Cuántos días santos nosotros tenemos?
Hey, with Shabbat.
Nosotros tenemos 7 días santos más el reposo que es el
7
octavo.
plus the Shabbat.
7 más el
When you're
reposo.
bowing down, basically, in front of the tree, grabbing your gift, you're
bowing
bowing
to
down
Yule.
to the God of Yule.
Okay, así que básicamente cuando uno se arrodilla para recibir ese regalo, se están postrando tras ese dios Yule.
Okay?
Yeah, there's even the song deck the halls with vows of folly. It talks about Yuletide. Yuletide, yeah.
Yuletide gatherings.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, that's all that stuff. And that's also that song is also from the Renaissance period. Also, that's like from the 16th century. Es,
The Mr. Music Man here.
yeah. Esa es una canción que viene de la época Renaissance, que es del siglo XVI.
Okay? As you see here, Samhain is the top at the 12 o'clock hour.
Okay. Pueden ver aquí que Samhain es a la medianoche.
And that is that doorway that we were talking about earlier.
Y ese es ese portón que vemos donde los espíritus entran y
That the
salen.
spirits were unleashed, those that died.
Que los espíritus eran desatados durante la medianoche.
Okay? And the only way to appease them is with liquor,
Y
and food.
la única manera de agradar a esos espíritus era a través de comida y bebida.
And this is why this holiday is so big worldwide now.
Es por eso que este día festejo es tan grande a través del mundo.
They will sell the most alcohol during that week.
Se venderá más alcohol durante esa semana.
Rebbitzon's brother used to have this massive Halloween party every year.
El hermano de Robertson tenía un festejo muy
Now,
grande
there were some
durante
funny
Halloween.
costumes.
Y ahora había disfraces
This one guy
graciosos.
had all these little cereal boxes on his shirt,
Tenía un hombre tenía todas estas cajas de
and he had
cereales
knives sticking through all the cereal boxes.
y tenía navajas atravesadas a los
He was a serial killer.
serial killers.
That's funny.
It doesn't translate well in
Yeah, it
Spanish.
doesn't
I'm sorry.
translate.
I'm not even going to
But
attempt that one.
the more the night went in past 12 o'clock,
Pero cuando la noche pasaba después de la
the
medianoche,
worse people got with the alcohol.
lo peor que las personas se ponían con ese alcohol.
All right, let's go on to slide 29.
Okay, vamos a la página 29.
You're going
ahora.
to see how Satan has tried to mimic the Lord.
Ahora vemos aquí como Satanás está tratando de imitar al Señor.
Symbolic, St. Valentine's Day,
Okay, el día conocido como el día de
is
San
at 3
Valentín
o'clock.
es a las 3.
The Romans changed it to be Passover.
Los romanos lo cambiaron a la Pascua.
That's why it moves, because if the Hebrew calendar doesn't line up with the secular.
Es por eso que siempre cambia, porque los meses seculares no alinean con los días judíos.
Then one of the popes changed March 21st to March 25th to be the Passover itself.
Y uno de los papas cambió el día de la Pascua durante marzo 21 y marzo 25.
Beltran is Mayfest Day, the goddess of fertility, or Mary's Day, on May 1st.
Beltane.
Right over here, Beltane.
Beltane es una celebración de fertilización dedicado a María.
They don't do it that much anymore,
Ellos ya no festejan esto
but
mucho,
on May 1st,
pero en el mayo 1,
back in the 1700s and the 1800s,
en el siglo XVII y
they used to
XVIII,
dance around the maypole.
ellos bailaban, tenían un poste en el medio y ellos bailaban
To
alrededor
welcome in spring.
para darle la entrada a la primavera.
And this is all part of Satan's wheel.
Esto es parte de la rueda de Satanás.
So by changing the days, people have inadvertently submitted to these days, because like on the calendar everybody says, oh yeah, the 21st is the first day of spring. So is that like following that? It would be like celebrating.
Samhain. Beltran.
Wow.
That's why God says, my days and my days alone.
Es por eso que Dios dice mis días y mis días solamente.
And this is why it's so important.
Y esto es por eso que es
Listen up out
importante.
there.
Por favor escuchen,
Listen up over there on the West Coast.
¿okay? Por favor escuchen allá en la costa
This is
oeste.
why it's so important to cite the moon and not do the rabbis.
Es por eso que es importante de citar la luna y no seguir a los rabinos.
Because then you start doing this.
Porque luego empiezas a celebrar
That's
esto.
why God wanted us to cite the moon.
Es por eso que Dios quiere que nosotros citamos la luna.
Because once you start changing little
Porque
things,
cuando empieces a cambiar cosas pequeñas,
remember it's a point A to point B.
acuérdense que es punto A a punto B.
You're supposed to be level.
Tenemos que estar anivelados.
And what if you're 1 degree off?
Si estamos un porcentaje fuera,
After 2,000 years,
después de 2000 años,
you're going to be way from your distance.
vamos a estar muy fuera de distancia.
And so you're saying, well, how can they do Mary Day?
¿Cómo es que pueden hacer este día dedicado a María?
How could you not go cite the moon?
¿Cómo es que no puedes citar la luna?
How could you predetermine?
¿Cómo pueden predeterminar esto?
You can't.
God can move it.
Dios puede moverlo.
When we had the tsunami, we lost a half a second on each day.
Cuando tuvimos este tsunami, perdimos medio segundo cada
The
día.
earth shrunk.
La tierra
I forgot how many miles.
se hizo más pequeña.
It shrunk,
Se hizo más pequeña,
causing us to lose a half a second on the day.
causando que nosotros perdiéramos medio segundo cada día.
Is that the Satan star in the middle of that?
You got it. It's a pentagram.
¿Okay? Tenemos el pentagrama en medio de esta rueda. And with all these earthquakes that are happening, I mean, the earth is shrinking more and more, and that means that we're traveling much faster now.
Uh-huh. Yes, sir.
That's why
Yes.
that's why the days are feeling like they're overlapping. They're overlapping a lot. Like the winter, it feels like winter is already getting an early start. You know.
Except for today, it was 77 degrees.
Yeah, it was very
and
nice.
humid.
Today. It was really nice.
Almost had to turn on the air.
When Elijah turned back the dial, what was it, 10 degrees?
Something like
So
that.
God stopped the clock and moved it back.
Yeah. That affected everything else, didn't it?
It was just that day.
Just that day?
Yeah.
Solamente ese día cuando Dios movió.
That's going to happen again, isn't it? I mean, where
No, we're going to lose.
We're going to lose.
A third of the sun and a third of the light.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay, then we go to, the Catholics call it St. John's Day, the midsummer solstice, June 21st.
Okay, el Midsummer Solstice, llamado el día, los católicos lo llaman el día de San Juan, que es el junio 21.
So you're seeing a lot of mixture
Así que vemos muchas cosas que están mezcladas
with the Celtic religion
con la religión
and some
celta
other things that we'll get into in a moment.
y otras cosas que
Or we
veremos. Bueno.
And that's why it was so important, that paper that the Catholics put out yesterday.
Es por eso muy importante ese papel que pusieron los católicos ahí fuera.
With the Pope writing that the homosexuals have gifts that the Christians can use.
Con el Papa diciendo que los homosexuales tienen muchos regalos que ofrecer a la Iglesia Católica.
Let's pause there.
Vamos a tomar
We'll do
pausa.
one more week of this
Veremos una semana más de este estudio,
because this will take you right before that, because we'll get into the Roman Empire now.
porque luego veremos la próxima semana el
So
Imperio Romano.
let's just go another few more minutes.
Así que vamos a ver unos cuantos minutos de esto.
Okay? If you look down in the highlighted red on slide 29,
Si vemos aquí en la página 29, aquí donde está, tenemos en rojo,
you see that the Samhain is the Catholics' All Saints' Day.
vemos que Samhain es el Día de los Santos Católicos,
Or it's also called All Souls' Day.
también llamado All Souls Day o Día de las Almas.
This is why we preach what we preach here.
Es por eso que nosotros predicamos lo que predicamos aquí.
Because once you start following Talmudic traditions,
Porque cuando empiezan a seguir tradiciones talmúdicas,
you start down a very bad road.
vamos en un camino muy malo
And it leads you to this.
y nos dirige a esto.
No, those are, no, it won't.
No lo vamos a hacer.
You know, that's why, you know, it's important to have solid leadership that's been trained.
Es por eso tener liderazgo sólido que ha sido entrenado.
Like if you got a woman who's wearing seat and
Sí.
being a leader, this is bad news.
Si vemos una mujer que tiene tzitzit que quiere ser líder, esto es mala noticia.
Run away from this person with speed,
Aléjense con mucha velocidad.
because God called Aaron and his sons.
Porque Dios llamó a Aarón y a sus hijos.
And we know from the Brit Hadashah that Aaron had daughters.
Y nosotros sabemos a través del Nuevo Testamento que Aarón tenía
Because
hijas.
when are you supposed to serve in the temple?
Porque cuando uno debería de servir en el templo,
Anywhere from 20 to 50.
de 20 años a 50 años,
Okay, the priesthood.
¿okay? El sacerdocio.
When is a woman generally having her menstrual cycle?
Cuando la mujer tiene su ciclo menstrual.
So every 28 days she's going to be out for 14.
Así que cada 28 días va a estar fuera por 14 días.
So there's lots of teachings going on out
Así
there.
que hay muchas enseñanzas ahí fuera.
Look who you're following.
Miren a quién están siguiendo.
Make sure they have a statement of faith.
Asegúrense que tengan una declaración de fe.
Because you can't say that these are bad
Porque no pueden decir que estas cosas son malas.
if you're following a woman leader,
Si estamos siguiendo una mujer que es líder,
you're doing somebody who has Sunday worship,
o alguien que adora los domingos,
or somebody that hasn't followed through having hands laid on them to be raised up.
o alguien que no ha tenido las manos puestas sobre él para que sea levantado al
Because it
liderazgo.
leads to this
Porque
stuff.
nos dirige a esto.
The longer you get away from the Messiah,
¿Okay? Lo más que se alejen del Mesías,
the easier it is for him to deceive you.
lo más fácil es para Satanás
Because
que los
everybody's
engañe.
doing it.
Porque todos lo están haciendo.
I don't want my kids to be alone.
Yo no quiero que mis hijos estén solos.
My God said, be separated.
Mi Dios dice sean separados.
And I'll never leave you
Y
alone.
yo nunca te voy a dejar solo.
And take it from the Jewish people. We messed up big time.
Y tómenlo del pueblo judío. Hemos fracasado en muchas
Learn
cosas.
from our mistakes.
Aprendan de nuestros
So you don't
fracasos
have to get kicked out of the house for 2,000 years.
para que no sean deshacidos de la casa por 2000 años.
Because if you don't want to follow Torah,
Porque si no quieres seguir el Torah
you want to follow the rabbis,
y quieres seguir a los
you want
rabinos
to follow Christian teachings,
o quieres seguir a las
then
enseñanzas
go to
cristianas,
Halloween and enjoy yourself.
entonces celebren el Halloween y por favor disfruten.
Eat, drink, and be merry.
Y coman, beban y sean felices.
But if you want to live in eternity with the King,
Pero si quieres vivir en la eternidad con el Rey,
then get away from these pagan things.
entonces dejen estas cosas paganas.
Next week we'll finish this study,
La próxima semana terminaremos
and
este
we'll go
estudio.
into some of the other Roman things that have been put into this.
La próxima semana veremos cosas romanas que han pasado
Okay.
a través de los siglos.
All right. Any questions before we wrap?
Hay preguntas antes de cerrar.
Good discussions for tonight.
¿Okay? Muy buen discurso.
All right. Let's pray. Thank you, Yehovah, for your blessings today. Thank you for giving us this word and giving us this information that we may choose and choose wisely. Let us see your glory. Let us turn back and turn away from these disgusting practices, that we may be children of the light. Especially for your holy days coming up and for your Shabbat. In your name, Yeshua. Amen.
Amen.
Shalom. This is Messianic Rabbi Andrew Dinnerman. I would personally like to thank you for tuning in to the Remnant's Call each and every week. You can listen to the full message on our website, bethgoyim.org. If you have drawn closer to the King of Kings, learned more about Him today, we are blessed. If you are blessed by these messages, please consider a donation to our ministry. You can go to our website, bethgoyim.org. That's BETHGOYIM.org, and click on the donate button. You do not have to have a PayPal account to donate. All you need is a debit card. Once again, thank you very much for listening to The Remnant's Call.
If you have not taken your first steps to be born again, just ask God's help. Remember, it's His loving grace that has come to find you. No one is worthy or able to reach God, but God can reach us, and He's reaching out to you now. Just open your heart and let Him in. His arms are open, and the blessing of salvation and eternal life are waiting for you. Don't let it wait any longer.
Ya Adonai, panavoleka, vikuneka, Yisa Adonai, panavoleka, vayasem laka, shalom. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord lift his face to shine upon you. May the Lord be gracious unto you and give you his shalom.
Shalom. My name is Messianic Rabbi Andrew Dinnerman, and I invite you to come to visit our congregation. If you are in the tri-state area, come out and visit with us on Shabbat. We are a congregation of Jews and Gentiles, living as one in the Messiah Yeshua. BGMC is a place of true worship. The focus never wanders from the Hebraic roots of our faith. Beth Goyim is rooted in the Word of God from Bereshit through to the book of Revelation. Messiah's strong words against man-made tradition are carefully recorded in Matthew 7. That is the reason we only follow the straight-up instructions found in Scripture. Truly, the way, the truth, and the life. If you're looking for a deeper walk with Adonai, come out for our Tuesday evening Bible study called Messianic Torah Time. Come, spend the day with us on any Shabbat. We start at 11 a.m. with the sound of the ancient Hebrew shofar. Next, we offer our King praise and worship in English, Hebrew, and Spanish. After worship, we review the headlines in the previous week's news from around the globe, especially news from the Holy Land, Israel. We don't just list the news headlines as current events, but we comb through the scriptures, searching for clues to understand what they mean, and then to help pinpoint prophetically our current position on Adonai's clock. After digesting all that modern information, we leave the world behind as we journey with our Adonai deep into his eternal word, not with just one or two scriptures, but usually 7 or more scriptures. The spiritual nourishment and the richness of his kingdom become accessible to the ones who share this special time and seek them out. The day does not end there. Because Shabbat is so special to him, there is always so much more that our King desires to share. So instead of separating and leaving, we stay together as a family for potluck lunch and an afternoon study of our King's Word. We close the Shabbat together with the reading of the new week's parashah. That's the Torah portion. Even after those blessings, many of us just can't get enough. So the members bring prepared homemade foods to share while we all enjoy an uplifting movie together. If all that information is not quite enough, you can check out our website where you will find over 200 video teachings and biblical holy day studies. Under Messianic Torah Time, the Hebrew Roots button, you'll discover free studies on many, many different topics, including PowerPoint slide presentations. If Beth Goyim sounds like a place you'd love to visit, but you live outside the tri-state area, there is still a way to connect with us. We stream live on the internet on Tuesday, Thursday, and Shabbat. The website is www.bethgoyim.org. That's BETHGOYIM.org. Our phone number is 973-338-7800 or 978-2-YESHUA. That's 978, the number 2, Yeshua. Shalom.